Namaste and good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday morning, May 20th. My name is KJ Hamus, and I'm really, really excited to be here with you for our morning yin class. And what I love about yin is its ability to open up the body on its deepest levels, but also really start to move our energy around. And so oftentimes we think of yin and restorative are practices that we undertake at the end of the day as ways to calm and to help us feel grounded and balanced. And that's all true and wonderful, but also yin and restorative, mind you, they're two different practices, can really help us at the beginning of the day too, to find that balance at the beginning of the day to help us open up and let the energy in our body flow differently. And so when we think of energy in the body, when we think of energy, we're like, I will be up and I will be focused, and I will be doing things. And sometimes the energy is just about really finding good balance between all parts of the body. And that's what we're going to work with today. With our yin practice, make sure you've got a couple of things with you. A pillow, whether it's a big pillow like this one, or a smaller pillow, or a couple small pillows, and then yoga blocks or yoga block equivalents. They're just great things to have. You may decide you don't need them, but it's better to have them and not, use them than, wish you had them because you needed them. So that's what we're going to work with today, and we're just going to try and find a beautiful start to our morning. So with all of that said, I'm going to invite us to get started on our backs today, and find that comfortable position on your back where your legs are nice and wide, your arms are nice and wide, and the head can rest easily here. So take up as much space as you need. And as we start to settle in here, let's take a moment before we go really deep, and as we let the outside world go away, to honor the teachers and practitioners who've come before us, who've shaped the practice as we know it today, reminding ourselves and honoring that this is an ancient practice from India, and it's a practice of liberation and freedom. So we honor those and thank them. And as you're ready, let's take a deep, slow breath in through the nose. And exhale, open the mouth, sigh it out, let it go. A deep, slow breath in through the nose. And exhale, open the mouth, sigh it out, let it go. One final time, full breath in. And exhale, let it go. Orienting yourself in space and time. The space being here and the time being now. And as you let the outside world fade away and start to settle deeper into the mat, take a moment to set an intention or focus for your practice. So what do you need from your mat this morning? What do you need from this initial yoga practice? Are you looking for balance in your day? Are you looking to honor the breath and honor the body? And as you do this as well, take a moment to acknowledge what it took to get here this morning. Early morning yoga practices or anything that we do that requires us to get up early can be a lot. And it's easy just to hit the alarm or snuggle up with our dog or our cat just a little bit longer. And so honor what it took to come to your mat this morning. We're going to start to draw our focus into the deeper parts of the body, all the way down to our cells, to our fascia, to our ligaments and our joints. Just start by taking a full body scan, working from the head down to the toes, observing the areas of tension, of motion, or sensation that you're bringing with you today. So in the mornings, we're going to be a little bit stiffer as we've just gotten out of bed. Our body hasn't really had a chance to move. So honor where you're at in this present moment. Allow this practice to be a part of opening to create more space for the breath. And really to work on that balance so we can start to approach whatever comes at us today. Keeping our focus in our body, begin to imagine little rivers of energy. And this energy is energy that's inside our body. We're our own electromagnetic field. We pull from the energy around us. And observe how the energy is moving in the body today. So where is, just like the breath, where is the energy flowing? How is it flowing? And do you find areas that you might be stuck, restricted, or bound? Just make note of those areas as we'll come back and observe multiple times throughout the practice how we feel to see if we're unbinding ourselves, releasing some of this tension and tightness, not only physically, but energetically as well. And then observe the areas that might be a bit more open and relaxed. And is it, as you make these observations, is it one-sided? So is one side more bound than the other? Or does it not have those lines in the body? Are you feeling bound or open in the heart, in the third eye center of the mind? How are you feeling at the root, the base of the spine? These are all observations, not judgments. We're just taking note. And then as you feel ready, let's bring our focus to our breath, slow and steady, with as little control as possible. So just noticing the breath in its natural rhythm. Start to name the breath. Inhale and exhale. And repeat that naming in your mind as you observe those actions. Becoming more familiar with your breath, and letting our breath be our guide throughout our practice. We'll use that to open up the body. Just getting our timer ready. So continue to name the breath. Feel free to close the eyes if you'd like, or open them. We'll draw our knees into our chest. Take a few circles on the ceiling with the knees in both directions, clockwise and counterclockwise. And then from here, reaching for the outsides of the feet, we're going to come into happy baby. So you can reach for the outsides of the feet or come behind the calves or even below the knees. Try not to reach directly on the knees. There's a lot of nerves there. And sometimes we might unconsciously put pressure in those places, and we just want to be really kind to those nerves. So I like to place it below the knees and rest my forearms on the ground. So I've got some support to be able to keep my legs in this position. We're going to be here for 3 minutes to start, and gently find an opening of the hips. So take a couple of breaths, deep cleansing breaths, to invite yourself into this shape. And then as you're ready, come back to naming the breath. Inhale and exhale. And what's great about naming is that it just allows us to really start to understand slowly what's happening in the body. Speaking of the body, in any of our shapes, we want to be at about a 70% or less. I wouldn't go less than about 40%, but you're the authority in your body, so you decide. Any more than a 70%, though, can really be pushing it and not letting gravity do the work. So we want to let go of some of that control and let gravity allow the body to open along with the breath. Truly let the breath be the guide. Finding stillness in the shape. So we're practicing stillness. It's like, I'm not doing anything. And you know what? That's okay. It's okay to not do anything. Not even watching TV, not even looking at your phone. Just breathing, just being here in this moment. Depending on what your days are like, there's a lot of sitting in weird places as you're trying to work from home. Maybe your at work chair isn't that great, or even your office chair or wherever you're working isn't that great. So you might start to feel bound in the hips. And you'll oftentimes hear people say, oh, I get in certain shapes and I just start to let go emotionally. That can happen. That can really happen at any point of the body. But for a lot of people, they seem to observe it in the hips. And maybe that's just because of how the emotions can really start to settle in the body. If we think about it, we breathe in and we think, really, we let the mind be the guide instead of the heart. And so with gravity, everything just starts to come down and it settles in the hips, which is the part of the body that really holds the upper part of the body up. So as it settles in the hips, it can become really tight just based on the fascial patterns here. You're almost done. So we want to be gentle and open our hips, releasing the hips so we can tap into the other layers of the body that we might need to open up and to feel our way through. Let's take a deep breath in. Deep breath out. Bring the knees back into the chest and rock from side to side. I don't know about you, but I need to stretch out my legs just a little bit. So feel free to do that. And then bring your knees just so they're stacked above the hips. Flex the feet. Press the low back into the earth. So tuck the tailbone up. And rest your hands on your thighs. So don't let the knees come into the chest. Really think knees over hips. Press the hands into the thighs. And breathe. So as you're pressing the hands into the thighs are pressing back. Low back stays on the ground. Dead bug warming up our core. Strengthening the hip flexors. Close the eyes or keep the gaze above you for 5, for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Gently cross at the ankles and roll on up. We're going to come into our toe squat. And I like toe squat. I've been doing it a little bit more lately. Toe squat is a great one because 6 energy channels start and stop in our feet. And as we're moving energy around, you might have noticed where you're feeling a bit stagnant and things aren't flowing as well. And this is one that can really help us do that. So as we opened up the hips where a lot of emotions can be there, maybe some of the energy is getting stuck, so we can't really begin to express ourselves. So come onto your knees, curl the toes under. Reach back if you're like me and you've got long pinky toes. Reach back, make sure they're not leaving the shape. And then rest your hands gently on your thighs. If you're newer to this particular shape, it might be really challenging. So consider taking it in chunks. Maybe for this first little bit, you come into it in 10 seconds and then you're like, okay, I'm good. and work your way up to the full minute that we'll be in. And just try and breathe. So this is where our naming the breath comes in real handy. Just continue to focus on the breath. Let the breath be the guide. You've got 30 seconds left here. Keep breathing and naming the inhales and the exhales. Let's take a deep breath in. Beautiful deep breath out. Gently plant your hands. And I like to just shake my feet on the ground to bring a little life back into it. And sit here for a moment and just notice how you feel. Hopefully you're feeling a release. I tend to feel a release a bit more in my feet than I do in a lot of other parts of my body because our feet get so bound up during the day. So that may be a sensation you're having. You may have other sensations coming up, and honor where that's at. So we want to take our counter yin stretch here, which is an ankle pose. Blocks or your books or your pillow can come in handy if you'd like. Place your hands behind you, whether they're on the ground or on our blocks or our books, and lift the knees up. So working into the front side of the feet here. The knees do not have to come up super far to feel this stretch. Oftentimes, our mobility, most of the time, our mobility and our range of motion in our joints determines how certain things will happen in the body. So in this instance, how much range of motion you have in the ankle joint. 30 seconds left in this shape can really play a factor here. So the knees being up super far is not the indicator of it being good or bad. So as long as you're feeling the stretch along the front side of the feet, you're good to go. Keep breathing. Name the breath. Let's take one more breath in. Breath out. And slowly go ahead and come back down. Again, feel free to smack the feet if you'd like. And as you do that, we'll come into a tabletop shape. So stack shoulders over wrists and hips over the knees. Work toward a neutral spine. So gently draw belly button in. Hips and back, crown of the head forward. Warming up the spine, leading with the hips for our cat-cows. Inhale, drop the belly, shoulders back, gaze comes up. Exhale, round the back, gaze is the last thing in. Inhale, drop the belly, lift the gaze. Exhale, round the back, dome it in. So keep going with your cat-cows on your breath. Still thinking inhale and exhale. You're likely familiar with this movement, so you don't have to think too hard about it. And as you're doing this, I want you to notice the parts in the spine that might seem a little stiffer. So where are you skipping movement in to move right on to the next? Where are you bypassing? Maybe you slow down then a little bit to try and work into that part. Take a few more here. We'll meet back in our neutral tabletop shape. Keeping your right knee bent, lift the right leg to the sky. Flex the foot at a 90-degree angle. So as if you're trying to place a footprint on the wall. Keep your left thigh pressing toward the center of your mat. Take a breath in. Exhale, open up the knee to the arm. Inhale, come on up. Exhale, open the knee to the arm like you're a dog at a fire hydrant. So keep moving here, nice and gentle. Just opening up the hips, going to external rotation and internal rotation. Really keep the thigh pressing forward. This is not a big opening. Belly is engaged. We're just trying to work into the hip and not into the back. Let's take one more here. And then meeting in that external rotation, just take some baby pulses, really getting into the glute for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Go ahead and place it down. We'll do that with the next side. So maybe here, if you find that you're really opening up the chest and everything, stick a block on your low back. And that's going to help you keep into the hip and not into the back. We'll get into the back, but we're just working on opening up that hip, getting the energy moving. So keeping the knee bent, lift the left foot to the sky. Right inner thigh presses toward the center. Belly is engaged. So drawing belly button toward the spine. Take a breath in, lift the foot. Exhale, open it up. Inhale, gaze will be about 6 inches in front of you. Press through the hands. Exhale, external rotation. 3 more, nice and slow. And going faster doesn't make it go any easier. Move with the breath. On this next external rotation, keep the leg out and take baby pulses for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Go ahead and set it down. Come on down to your seat. We're going to come into butterfly pose. So this is going to help us loosen up our low back without requiring loose hamstrings. And you might even find too, depending on how you're feeling this morning, that this helps us get into the hips. I can recommend a block here. And you can place the block in a couple of different ways. You can place the block in between the feet. As you squeeze the feet, you're going to feel a little bit more sensation on the inner leg. And then you can use this block as a place to rest the head or anything like that. Find a rounding in the back. So really let the back round. You can let the hands come into, your head come into your hands for the I'm bored look. I sometimes call this the Sears portrait look. If you even know what Sears portrait is. But I'm just like, oh yes, it's a fun picture. And we'll be here. So find a position that's going to let the back round a bit. And you might need to sit up on a block or a blanket to help you find that rounding. Let the head hang nice and heavy. And breathe. If having the block in between your feet doesn't feel good, place it on the feet, soles of the feet touching. It's really up to you. The farther out the legs, the more restorative, the closer in, the deeper the stretch on the inside of the legs. And I'm going to recommend that you feel the stretch on the inside of the legs this morning. But that's just a recommendation, and you can take it or leave it, just as you would in any class. So 3 minutes on our timer. Take a couple of breaths to invite yourself into the shape. And let's tune in. So as we go back to naming the breath, we settle into this stillness. You might begin to notice thoughts and emotions or feelings come up. So when that happens, non-judgmentally, start to name those things. Thought, emotion. We'll stick with those two just to keep it simple right now. So we're doing that to continue to be in tune with our body, understanding what's happening. So with that, if the thought keeps persisting, just go thought, thought, thought till it gently leaves. Same thing with the feeling. And then come back to naming the breath. And let the breaths be gentle and soft. I'm going to leave you be for the remainder of this shape, for the last half, letting you just focus. About 30 seconds left here. And take a deep, slow breath in and a deep, slow breath out. As you're ready, use your hands to walk your way back up. Move any props you have off to the sides. Go ahead and extend the legs out. Just notice how you feel. So sit up nice and tall, bring the hands behind you, Dandasana staff pose. So belly button into the spine, toes reaching for the nose, crown of the head pressing up. Fingertips can come to blocks, or I like to cupcake them on the sides. In my house, a morning cupcake's called a donut, so it's the same thing. Breathing here. Feeling the engagement across the back. So we want to work to strengthen and stretch. We want to strengthen to help us physically be able to be held upright, but also energetically really support the flow of our energy, support our balance. You got this. Breathe here. And on our next inhale, let's bring our knees into our chest, Navasana boat pose. Hands can stay down by the sides if you'd like, pressing into the earth gently. Hands can come up to the thighs. Wherever you're at, think crown of the head up, heart lifting forward, toes toward the nose. Scoot a little bit, make sure you've got some space behind you and in front of you. Take a breath in. Exhale, slowly lower down. Inhale, gently lift up. Exhale, slowly lower. 2 more. Breath in. Breath out. Last one. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, lift up. Cross at the ankles. And then come into a downward facing dog. So an inversion. Just letting the flow of energy change a bit. So finding length in the backside of the body, letting the crown of the head reach toward the earth. Take a couple of breaths here. My shirt is in my way. Bend through the knees, inhale. As you exhale, draw the heart closer to the thighs. Take a breath in. Exhale, press the hips up, lengthening along the backside of the body. Feel the heels as they press more toward the earth. They don't have to touch, just feel that movement. Let's try that again. Inhale, bend the knees, let them hover. Exhale, heart draws closer to the thighs. Take a breath in, press through the hands. Exhale, straighten up. So starting on our left side, inhale, left leg lifts. And then exhale, bend the knees, stack the hips. Keep your left armpit pressing or folding down toward the earth. So shoulders are square, feeling the stretch, hopefully along the front side of the leg. Take a breath in, straighten the leg. Exhale, draw knee to nose, round through the back, round through the shoulders. Inhale, press the left leg up. Exhale, left knee to right elbow. Pause. Press through the earth. As you inhale, cross the left foot underneath the body. Then you're going to slide down. We're going to come into drunken warrior. Let your back leg do whatever it wants. Keep your left leg coming out directly from your hip. Flex the foot. We're going to work into the IT band, the outside of the hip here. So with this leg, whatever it wants, you might want to grab a block or a pillow here. You can stay here if you're feeling that stretch, Or working into the spine a little bit, you're going to start to allow the heart to square off to the earth onto your mat. So this is about as far as I'm going to get this morning, which could be different than what I would be able to do in the evening. And that is just how much hydration there is for the disc in between the vertebra. And as we wake up and move a little bit more, our spine has a bit more flexibility. So this is where our props come in real handy. So again, feeling that, working under that in the IT band, flex the foot, keep a gentle flex in there. And we're going to be here for 3 minutes. So come back to naming the breath, thoughts or feelings. And just be here. Allow yourself to slowly sink into the shape. Don't force anything. And notice what comes up. Feel free to place the block too underneath your chest, letting that support you. And we can support other parts of the body so we can get deeper into the place where we're working to open up. About 30 seconds left here. Take a deep, slow breath in and a deep, slow breath out. Begin to just walk your hands back, lift the torso, move any props off to the side. Start to straighten through the back leg, uncurl the back toes, press up into the hands. And then from here, just lift one hand open, opening up the heart, opening up the chest. Gently bring the hand back down, straighten the left leg back up, down, three-legged dog. And then set the left leg back down. I'm gonna take off my flowy shirt because it's getting in my face. It's good for cold, but it's not so much good for trying to demonstrate. We're gonna move on to our right side. So as you inhale, lift your right leg up. As you exhale, bend the knee, stack the hips. So both shoulders are square to the earth. Our right armpit is pointed down, but our left knee is bent, working into the front hip flexor. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Inhale, straighten the leg up. Exhale, bring knee to chest, belly or nose, round through the upper back, press the ground away. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, knee to left tricep. As you inhale, cross the right leg under and slowly slide down. Let your back leg go nice and limp. So we want our leg coming out directly from the hip. Feel free to use a block or a pillow, whatever feels good. Flex the foot. So you can stay here, or you can start to turn the upper body, working into your I-T-beam. So you might notice some differences between the two sides. And that's perfectly normal. So we'll adjust for that and honor that where it's at. So 3 minutes here. Start to sink into this shape. Take your time. There's no rush to sink into it. Feel free to, as well as you get here and you're allowing yourself to sink in, if you feel the bone a little bit, if you feel like you're sitting on the bone, make that adjustment, or maybe even take your towel or a blanket or your sweater that you just threw off and tuck it underneath there just to provide a little extra support. Sometimes the mats, while as thick as they might be, which is wonderful, don't always get all of that support. And depending also on what ground you're using as well, that can factor into it. About 30 seconds left here. Take a deep, slow breath in and a deep, slow breath out. So gently use your hands to lift the torso up, move any props off to the side. Uncurl the back toes, straighten the back leg, lift up and open up. Just feel the opening of the heart. And then from here, go ahead and start to bring both hands down to the ground. Step back, three-legged dog. And then back down, downward facing dog. Roll forward, high plank. Bring the right forearm down, left forearm down. Let's breathe here. Gaze is on the ground at 6 inches in front of us. Heels press back, hip back. So don't lift the hips, tuck the tailbone, low belly in. Very gently as you inhale, lift the left leg. Exhale, set it down. Inhale, lift the right leg. Exhale, set it down. Try not to move the hips too much. Maybe widen the stance of the feet. Let's move for 3 on each side. 2. And 1. So strengthening glutes, strengthening hips. Take a breath in. Exhale, draw the knees down. Sit back, child pose. Take a deep breath in. Deep breath out. So while we're here, we're going to come into mantis pose, which is child's pose. We're going to take a variation on it to help us open up the shoulders. So bring the knees as wide as the mat, big toes to touch. 2 blocks or books, or even your pillow if you've got it. And then place the elbows on the blocks for praying mantis. Hands come to a prayer position. And then let the head rest in between the blocks as you bring the thumbs to the nape of the neck. Again, continuing to find a gentle opening of the hips and of the shoulders. So our upper body, if we're hunching a lot, we want to open up the front side of the body, stretch out the back side as well. And this will help us do that. We've got 3 minutes here. Take a couple of breaths to invite yourself in. And then come back to naming the breath, naming the thoughts or feelings, but not actively engaging, just naming. About 30 seconds left here. Take a deep, slow breath in and a deep, slow breath out. Begin to gently sit up. Shift your hips over your knees. Come into tabletop shape. So take a few cat-cows if that calls to you, or maybe just find stillness, really checking back in. We're going to come into a deeper hip opener that's going to get us into the outside of the hip and the glute, and also the front side of the opposite leg. We're coming into swan pose or resting half pigeon. So as we think about coming into this shape, remember that it's still early morning, and our body's going to function differently. So be kind and gentle in this shape, as it might be more challenging than it would be if you took it at the end of the day. So from tabletop, start to draw your left knee behind your left wrist and the left toes reaching for the right wrist. Back leg begins to straighten as you uncurl the back toes. Now the shin does not have to be perfectly parallel to the front of the mat. mat. And in fact, for the most part, it won't. But we do want to square both hip points off to the front. So place your hands on your hips and maybe just make that adjustment. Back leg nice and straight. Try not to dump in to your left hip. Keep everything even. If you find your left hip is lifting off, blanket, block, towel underneath there to bring the ground closer to you. Give yourself that support so you can stay level. Flex the foot, the more parallel the shin is to the mat, but you don't have to hold the flex the entire time. Before we sink forward, because I know that's where a lot of people are like, I just want to go there, and we'll get there. Patience, friends, patience. Bring your hands by your hips, or hands to blocks that are by the hips, and you're just going to slowly start to lift that left hip up. Hold at the top, and then slowly, gently lower back down. Keeping your left foot flexed, inhale, lift the hip. Hold at the top. Exhale, slowly lower down. Let's do that one more time. Inhale, gently lift the hip and hold. Exhale, slowly lower down. Curl the back toes under. And from here, press back into those toes as if you're shifting everything back. Okay? Stay here if you're feeling the stretch again in the outside of the hip, in the glute, both, and definitely in the right side of the front hip flexor. You can stay here or you can start to fold. So remember, how blocks will travel. The blocks will move as you do, and they can go at whatever level you want. And they're magical like that. So maybe you're so used to folding forward, and then today you're like, oh, I can only go so far. This gal right here. That's okay. We're going to be here for 3 minutes. And in that 3 minutes, allow yourself to just sink softly and slowly into the shape. Let gravity do the work. If you're feeling pain at all in the knee, please get out of the shape. Come onto your back, coming into a figure 4. I'll demonstrate that if that's what you need. If you're staying right here, just ignore me. Stay in the shape, continue to breathe. For figure 4, if you find that's calling to you a bit more, right knee will be bent, left ankle is going to come across the right thigh. Use your left hand to push the thigh open, just gently. And then if you'd like, bring the right thigh into the body. Okay? Up to you. Your choice. Keep the focus on the breath. And as you sink into the shape a little bit more, notice the energy flow in the body. Notice where you might feel a bit more stagnant. What's happening as we're opening up the fascia, the ligaments, and the joints, and creating more space in our energy channels? Can you start to feel more energetic and balanced? You might feel unbalanced now because we haven't done the other side, and that's perfectly normal. But just notice and observe. If your foot is starting to fall asleep, means you're a little bit too far into the shape, come on out of it. We don't have to force our way all the way to what we think is the end. There is no end. And there's an end of the shape, but not, you get what I mean. Continue to breathe. 30 seconds left here. Take a deep breath in, deep breath out. Use your hands to lift yourself up. Move any props you have off to the side. Press the hands into the earth and then gently lift the knee back up, coming into your tabletop shape. Finding your neutral spine. As you inhale, bend the the left leg, flex the foot up to the sky, right thigh presses in. Take a breath in. Exhale, open up the hip, bring it toward the elbow. Inhale, leg lifts up, core engaged. Exhale, bend it in. Keep your right thigh pressing to center. Last time, lift up. Exhale, fire hydrant. Inhale, lift up. And exhale, set it down. Move on to the other side. So our right knee comes behind the right wrist. Right toes reaching for the left wrist. Back leg is going to begin to move nice and straight. So find your evenness. Hips will square to the front of the mat. So bring your hands to your hips. Point them forward. Pressing through both legs. Okay, bring your blocks if you used them the last time by your hip. Slowly inhale, lift the right hip up. And then exhale, gently place it down. Find a nice pause at the bottom. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, bring it down. Last time, lift and lower. Uncurl the back toes. Have blocks will travel. Scoot yourself back a little bit more and then stay here or begin to fold. Breathe. 3 minutes. And then try not to dump into the right hip so your whole body's not leaning over to the right. Keep it even and toward the center. And that's going to be different. It's going to change the stretch, but we want the body to stay as level as we can, even if we're in these asymmetrical shapes. Breathe here. Notice the differences. About 30 seconds left here. Take a deep breath in, deep breath out. Inhale, slowly start to come on up. Move your props. And gently find your way to a tabletop shape. And then from tabletop, go ahead and bring the right leg to the sky, flex the foot. Left inner thigh presses toward the center of the mat. Breath in, exhale, fire hydrant. Inhale, exhale. Last time, breath in, breath out. Setting it back down, taking any final movements that you need before coming into Savasana, final resting pose. And so truly, let yourself sink into the mat here. Let go of every bit of work. Let the breath rest if you were really controlling it. And just be. Take a deep, slow breath in through the nose. And exhale, open the mouth, sigh it out, let it go. Deep, slow breath in. And exhale, let it go. Last time, breath in. And breath out. You are here. So this is the final bit of work in your practice. And that is the work of doing absolutely nothing. Being completely still, letting the body feel heavy and sink into the earth. Let the earth hold you up. Start to take a full body scan. Gently and slowly checking back in, noticing how you feel. So what happened over the course of the practice? You feel a bit more balanced and open? Or the areas that were bound and restricted, maybe not there anymore? Maybe new things have popped up for you to explore later. Just take this moment. And as we start to bring awareness back to our senses, notice truly how you're starting to enter in the rest of your day. And then as you're ready, bring some gentle movement back into the body by wiggling fingers and toes. Take a full body stretch, reach the arms overhead. And then softly transition to meet me in a comfortable seat. As you arrive in your comfortable seat, bring your right hand over your heart, your left hand over your right. Closing the eyes or finding a soft point for your gaze, pausing here. Feeling your heartbeat. Set your intention for the rest of the day. I invite you at some point today just to return to a moment like this. Sitting in silence, sitting in stillness, listening to your own breath, feeling your own breath, noticing your own heart. You let your breath and your heart guide you through your day. Show compassion for yourself and show compassion for others. Coming into a moment of gratitude, thanking yourself for making time for your practice this morning, time for your mat, and honoring what it took to get here today. And then sending gratitude to those who joined us to create this virtual community in this virtual space. Thank you so much. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Peace, Peace, Peace. Thank you all so very much. Hi, sister. I hope you guys have a fantastic, fantastic mid-Friday, and I look forward to practicing with you again very, very soon. Bye.